Hi, Alicia. What's that?
I said, oh, I put this form in the wrong file. I'll do it in the right. If it was just me, I'd be like, oh, no.
Right. All right. Hi, Jake.
Took me a second. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm at home today. Got stuff going on.
Good, bad, and different.
Actually, it's a project we've been having to work on since the beginning of the year. We had ordered a hot tub, and with the way things are, hot tub ordered in January, and it finally made it to Salem last week. And so now we're going to get the electrical and stuff done tomorrow, and I had to clear stuff out. And so hopefully by the end of the week, we're good to go.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, it's good to be home. I don't mind that.
You don't mind that?
No, I like it here.
Good. That's the important part, right?
Absolutely.
Just a second here. I'm going to let everybody get a chance to get on. It's a nice, beautiful day. So I'm guessing everybody's going to scroll in about between 1 and 1:05. Thank you all for being on time. Good news. You guys want to know what it is?
Yeah.
You're stuck with me for 3 hours. Nothing but me.
I like that idea. So you're a wealth of information. And I think and you're impressive. You're an impressive guy. So
sucking up will get you everywhere.
No. I'm beyond that at this stage in the game in my life. I'll tell you that. So that's not necessary.
Good. We will give everybody a chance to get on. Who wants to check in with their how'd it go this weekend?
I guess I could do that. I'm up right now if you're all right with that. Hey, I've been doing in my spare time learning as much about Paragon as I can through some of the tutorials there. Whoops. And trying to get my name out there. I've been to a couple events this past weekend. One was a fundraiser, so people caught up with people there, so they know what I'm doing. And then church, and then I've got some opportunity going forward. So it's tough to get a hold of people in the summer. I think I mentioned that to you last week. I think I said that to you. So.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You know the single best thing? There's a couple ways you can look at it. I'll tell you, I had an open house this weekend and I probably got 2 agents fired. Which is never an intent. It's never the intent. But when you come prepared and you come with knowledge and you come with stats and you know how to protect them in your strategies, it's an obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's never an intention to steal somebody else's client, especially if they don't have a buyer broker agreement. One thing to learn, and this question goes a long way, right? We all know the mantra when somebody says you're just getting in. If you could put your video on, that'd be great. What I would tell you is this. When somebody asks you how the market is, okay, what's your response? Jake, let's role play for a minute.
Okay, I got my mic back on. Okay. Okay, so the question, go ahead.
How's the market?
The market is a seller's market right now. That's the first thing I would say.
Okay. Perfect. Can I tell you something?
Please.
What do you mean by seller's market?
If you have a house that you want to sell, you can get a fair amount of money for it. And as a seller, right person comes along, it'll move rather quickly at this point in time.
Okay, perfect. Now ask me how the market is.
How's the market doing?
Jake, I'm glad you asked. It depends. Are you looking to buy, sell, invest, or rent? They're all very different. Which one appeals to you?
I'd like to sell.
Okay, well, as you may have heard right now, what we're looking at with the market, I can either break into answering that questions, or I can go with another question, right? It's not always about answering the question. So let me try it this way. I'm looking to sell. Great. What are things that you're noticing in the market?
That the houses that sell for around 300,000 to about 550 are the ones that go rather quickly. I'm finding out that the higher end places, at least here in my neck of the woods, with a little acreage and probably a little more splash to them, that are in the 700 to higher, are slowing down just a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Right, so that's about financing, right?
Okay.
That's about, so there's more. Oh, obviously there's going to be more. What if I were to tell you in this market, there's always going to be two different markets?
Okay.
Not just one. See, technology's changed everything in the way we do business.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that technology is what buyers can see.
All right.
97% of people have a cell phone. They all have home apps.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is when you sell your home, do you want to work with the 3% or do you want to work with the 97%?
You want to work with the guys that have all the toys.
The 97%.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what we're going to dive into today is one, how to get that lead and how do we convert that lead? Okay. And it's not about answering the question. So if somebody says, how's the market? Once you answer that question, thank you for the info. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you for the info. I'll see you later isn't a lead capture. We want to capture the lead. Okay. That's what we're shooting for. Every opportunity to capture the lead. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, appreciate the conversation. Glad we dove into that. There's going to be a lot more of that today. Okay. How many contacts did you add to your database this weekend?
Am I still on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 4.
Perfect. Any notes? Any cards? Any appointments?
No, not at this. Not this weekend. No.
Okay. Good. And congratulations on the hot tub.
We're working on
it. Yes, Linda, I will explain to that. Actually, I'll just show you a picture. 97% of people have this, 3% of people don't. Okay, and we're going to dive into that today. Okay, there's going to be a lot of it. Alicia, you want to check in? Sorry, yeah.
Sure.
Hi.
So last week on Thursday, I went to the Eugene Realtors Association orientation, and then over the weekend I shadowed a open house with Corin, and then that was about it. What
was your biggest aha?
Yeah. Kind of the open house, just kind of seeing like questions that they ask and just kind of getting myself prepared to be able to answer those, I guess.
Number one question you can ask. We want open-ended questions that's going to engage the client, not a yes or no question. Number one question you can ask at an open house is, what are you noticing about the market as you look?
Okay. And then, yeah, that's about it for.
No, that's plenty. That's a lot. That's a lot of talking, right? Ashley.
All right. Oh, hey, sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I thought it was muted here. I'll put myself on video.
What's your last name, by the way? I want to make sure you get credit and not somebody else.
Thank you. Yes. So you guys, I've been through kind of a crazy situation. On June 11th, I had open heart surgery. So that kind of threw, I wasn't expecting it. It was totally out of the blue. It happened when I was working out. And so I'm just now getting back into everything. This is my first class back. But so at this point, I'm just kind of like easing back into it. And I did have a house close last week. So that was exciting. That was a ball that I had rolling before. So that was my first home sale. And then
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And unfortunately, I had to give away a listing that I had up in Roseburg, but I'm still going to have a referral fee for that. And I'm just kind of taking this time for training and for building up my social media and stuff like that right now, because I only have a limited amount of energy at this point while I'm still recovering.
Okay. Well, the thing is health first, right?
Yeah. Yep.
A second here. I got to add more people.
I'm glad you're alive.
I am.
Thank you. Me too. It was a close one there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay.
Thank you.
I was gonna make a joke about working out.
Yeah. Yeah. I had what was called a SCAD, which is pretty rare and tend to happen to actually younger women specifically. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Learn lots.
Yes.
Aisha, how'd you do this weekend?
I'm doing good. So I submitted my business card and I have to make a couple of changes on it. It's nothing too major. I have to add the word broker instead of realtor.
Okay.
And then I did market on Saturday, and I talked to some of my vendor friends who I'm really jealous. She bought, she's a little older than me, actually quite a bit older than me, but she bought a property out. She lives out in Dexter.
Okay.
Like 30 years ago, she bought a property for like $130,000. It's like on 5 acres. And so anyways, I was asking her like if she knows anybody, and I guess I hadn't told her that I was in real estate yet. So she's going to take a bunch of my cards, and she's not trying to sell her property, but I asked her if she wanted like a free CMA so I would get some practice writing them. And she was like really into that. I registered my business profile with Google today. I did a bunch of the feedback forms for the Ignite. That actually took longer. What else did I do? I can't remember everything I've done. It's been a lot of little things.
That's great. Well, and I will tell you guys this, as much as working on the little things, nothing beats getting out in front of people and having conversations.
For sure. Oh, and I did make another contact with a friend on Saturday. I forgot about that, where he was not really looking to buy or sell, but I was like, well, you know, you probably talk to people that are, and he was like, why, yes, I do actually. Now that you're reminding me, I just talked to somebody the other day, and I was like, all right, see, so I'm gonna give him some cards too.
Perfect. Jared.
Yeah, so I've been busy. I ran my first open house on Saturday. That was fun. A lot of people came through, made the time go by really fast. Most people had representation, and I've been previewing a ton of homes. So a lot of driving around, a lot of looking at a lot of different homes, and working hard to find this buyer. I have a buyer that's looking right now, and trying to put myself in their shoes and figure out exactly what they're looking for. So after that, I haven't added enough contacts, sadly, but I've just been busy doing a lot of moving around and
research.
And I'm also getting ready to write an offer probably tomorrow in another place. So
for yourself?
That's right.
Nice. I remember that. Awesome. Yvonne, welcome. Jacqueline.
Hi. Okay.
Oh, there's two Jacqueline.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is Yvonne. Yvonne, hi.
No, that's okay. Just you can skip me.
I can go first.
I'm just listening. I can talk.
I saw that you joined us today, and I'm excited to have you here. So thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Get ready for some questions. Barton, or sorry, no, Jacqueline. Then we'll go Barton.
I was hoping you'd forget. Okay, we'll just say that I've been doing research. And anyway, I probably had 2 contacts this weekend, and I took the scripts that I had last weekend. I redid them in the script, and I redid it in my own words so that I felt more comfortable with it. So I did do a lot of script stuff. And to be perfectly honest, look at that sneaky smile. That's exactly the way I feel.
That's how I feel about scripts. You know how much I love scripts.
Oh, to be perfectly honest, maybe I'm the only one that is fearful of COVID, but it could be my age. But I am being challenged going out to meet people with fear.
I want to type in I think that's a great question. Type in the chat.
Well, I think if you're younger, you probably don't care.
Well, and if you're scared of COVID, if this is a concern for you, I think we all have this concern. It's a legitimate concern. Okay.
Thank you for understanding.
And don't let that stop you. COVID.
My reason for not participating. Huh? Okay.
The only germs are being spread are on your phone when you make a phone call.
Yes, that's true. You're right. Yeah, that's true. You got me. Okay, you win. That wasn't a win-win. I think I lost that one.
Oh, it's a win-win for you and your business. Okay,
that's true.
A legitimate concern, and find ways. If anything, we have all had to pivot and adapt.
Okay.
Okay, when we pivot, and especially starting the business, you want to be able to, one, do it safe. Okay. But 2 is you still want to grow your business. If you wait for COVID to leave and just go away and magically disappear, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. We're finding that out, aren't we? Yes.
Exactly. It's going to keep coming back, but don't let that stop you from helping others. But do it in your safe way. Wear your masks, wear the gloves. If that's what it is, do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And I will say this, I appreciate every time you come to Scripps. So.
Thank you.
Barton, and everybody knows the smirky smile was because Scripps, I teach 8:20 to 9, shameless plug. I will do it every time that I get on Ignite, and you will grow and you will learn. Okay. Barton, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. How'd the weekend go?
It was interesting. So on Thursday, I spent a lot of time on Facebook. I wanted to make a Facebook group that I'm going to use and have that linked to my business page, both which I haven't yet had a chance to make a post on, but I intend to build those 2. And then, so I spent some time doing that. And then on Friday, I made a call to a friend of mine who lives in Portland. I thought he might want to sell his place.
Yeah.
Turned out he did not. He decided he's going to stay put there in Portland, where he is. He has a nice house there. And then also met with somebody else here in Eugene who I thought was going to sell his place, and he decided not to sell his place also.
What's stopping them from selling? What is their hiccup?
Well, the guy I met with here in Eugene is the one who my wife and I have been renting here for a year, and he's the one who rents the house to us. And he he has good reason. He's going to hold on to the house for now. It actually belongs to his mother-in-law, and she is 90. She doesn't want to sell the house yet. So I think he's just hanging on to it as long as she wants to have the house, and he's going to rent it out. He knows he can rent it easily.
Okay.
So, and then my buddy there in Portland, he has a new granddaughter. So he's gonna, and who is close to him. So once again, he has a nice house where he is. Really, the thing he's not happy with is traffic. He's gotten older, obviously. He's a grandfather, and so you know, he's not happy with traffic and some of the other. I think he doesn't take advantage of a lot of the stuff there. But what? Were you stopping me or? Anyway,
no, not at all. Okay.
And then so he has this granddaughter that is close to him, and he decided he's going to stay in the house he's in. So that was on Friday. I did that, and then so had a friend that actually come in over the weekend. But on Saturday morning, my wife and I went out and saw three open houses, and ended up liking one of them, and we were shopping for ourselves. So we ended up liking one of the houses quite a bit, and then ended up putting, with Mara's help, because I wasn't really set up yet. I thought I was close, but then when it came to doing zip, I wasn't set up yet on zip forms, and then did the Oregon real estate forms, and they did not push through to my zip forms. So
absolutely 100% a great point, that if you guys have not got your setup completed, please do. It will save you an amazing amount of time if you're set up and you have your get with your coach, right? Find out what to do.
Yeah.
How to link your MLS, your RMLS, your zip forms. It can and your DocuSign. It can make your life so easy.
Right. So I didn't know that was a part that I had missing until I went to try and make an offer. So I ended up having Mara's help making an offer, and heard from her today that it looks good. So hopefully that's going to go through. We'll hear tomorrow. So maybe buying a house tomorrow.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then and our friend who was staying with us actually is stationed here for FEMA in Salem, and kind of got a chance to reconnect with her. Didn't really have a real estate conversation with her much, and she saw me kind of freaking out trying to make a offer on my own house. So I wasn't going to push my competence quite yet to her. And then so that's it for the moment. I actually had a computer meltdown last night, total meltdown. So I've been kind of dealing with that this morning, trying to get that working again. But
very cool. Rebecca.
Oh, you can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So actually, my husband Josh and I have had a very busy weekend. This weekend we went to 3 events where we met a lot of different people, had a lot of conversations. I've got contacts that I will be entering into my system, my system today. And at one of those events, actually, my ex-employer from several years ago was there, and I knew he was going to be there. We'd been planning this for a couple of weeks now, and I knew that his son had just moved out of the country from a loft that he had owned. And I asked him then, so I was like, so your son's moved out, are you going to sell your place? Can I help you with that? And he goes, Rebecca, you should learn. You have to jump on these things. We just signed a contract with a realtor 2 days ago. So I was like, darn, because I hadn't gotten the word to him yet that I was a realtor. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, I learned my lesson there. Make sure everybody knows as soon as possible.
Out your announcements.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that was interesting. But then also at one of the other events, my brother-in-law was there, and he currently owns two houses, a condo and a house. And so we were talking to him and saying, hey, are you ready to, you know, buy another house so that he rents them out? He's like, you know, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't we look and see what's going on with the market, what's available? And I said, okay, let me send you my lender information and get that squared away and we can move on from there. So I sent him that today.
How many lenders do you work with?
So far, just 2.
Okay, good. So at least give them options. This is what I tell everybody when I'm sending lenders is,
Yeah.
Look, I have great ones that I work with. You may also have a relationship with your bank, and I also have an option for Keller Mortgage that may save you $5,000 to $6,000 on closing costs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he also said, well, I also have my own lender. And I said, well, that's fine, that's good. But I just wanted to send you a couple more just so that you can be sure of what you want and what you can get from them. So he's like, all right. So going down that road.
Perfect. Well done. Way to get in front of people. Kimberly, now add them to the database. Doesn't do any good if you don't add them to your phone or your database.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
It's your data bank. Kimberly.
Okay. So we were leaving Friday to go camping with family, and I knew I wasn't going to have cell service. So Friday before I left town, I took some time. I took about an hour and a half to literally spread out all my class notes. I took page protectors and I put every wrote on them and kind of organized them I just need to get organized with everything that I've learned. And then I took with me this weekend some, actually on Friday too, I also connected with a friend who's a lender. And then today on my drive home, I set up 2 appointments, one with another title company and one with my friend who's a lender to go have lunch and go over what they have to offer. So I'm trying to find some credible contacts for customers. And then while I was camping this weekend, I have 250 announcements that I'm sending out to everybody I know that I had made. And so I'm still working on those. I've sent out about the first 125 last week, and now I worked on that this weekend. Since I didn't have cell service, I figured that was something I could do away from electronics. So have quite a few appointments set up this week, and yeah.
If you are absolutely away and with family, find time to enjoy the family too.
Yeah.
Engulfed in real estate very, very quickly. Okay. Let's go with Emily.
Hi there. I also, I was in Idaho camping since Thursday. So I just got cell service about an hour ago. Planned that right out to be on the call, but I have nothing new to add. Some rest area here, and I'm not sure what city I'm in right now. So yes, I enjoyed my time with my family. Didn't do anything, but I will jump on it when I get home later today.
That sounds amazing. See, and that didn't hurt, did it? You got to enjoy time.
No, not at all.
Very important.
I needed this weekend.
That is important. Briley. Nolan. Nolan, how was your weekend? Oh, he's probably at work. Erica. No, Erica's probably at work too. Okay, so perfect. Welcome everybody. Now we're going to dive in from the check-in process. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about win the seller and what that means. Okay, I'm Matt Spate. I am actually going to be the host today for the full You're Stuck With Me until we get done. I know you all have questions and how do we get started and how do we win the seller, right? So I'm going to pull up share screen. I will start by looking at this, but then you will find I will take you wherever you guys want to go. If you find something that you like that I say, we can dive into that. That's usually what happens. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be Ignite Power Session number 4, Win the Seller. And we did our contacts, note cards. What do we have? What are your ahas? Has anybody worked with a seller yet? Oh, this is going to be a fun class. This is going to be great.
I have not found anybody to sell.
Okay. Where do you find people to sell?
Knock on their door. I think
Open
the
house.
hot sheets on the RMLS, or on the Home Snap, sorry.
Yep.
Where they show like the likely to sell and all that. I was thinking about using that and then knocking on doors.
100%. That's a great one. Gives you all the information right there, right? Okay. So we've done that. We've done that. Lead generate. How many people are having a good time lead generating? How many people are still fearful of lead generating? We talk about time blocking and scheduling. Lead generation should be in your calendar for at least 2 hours a day to get in front of people and have conversations. Okay. What that looks like is a good day, a perfect day would be 8:20 in the morning, 9 o'clock, you're at Scripps, you're learning how to talk to people, you're gaining more confidence, you're learning what questions to ask, the real estate lingo. And that is, I teach that every Tuesday through Friday. Okay. But that gives you more confidence to have conversations with people. Therefore, when you get out to open houses, you can have conversations. And those conversations are like, especially right now, when you have an open house and you get in front of people, excuse me, how many people walk in and they're like, well, I have to sell my house in order to buy, but they're looking anyway. That is a perfect opportunity to educate them. And that education starts with, well, really with the market that we're in today, you should probably have you should most likely have your house listed right now while you're looking. You see, excuse me, choking fit. With the market that we're in today, the chances of you being able to list your house, get it on the market, and write a contingent offer and go up against competition where there is no contingent offer, then you're going to have a problem. Okay. But don't let that deter them from listing their house. Because ultimately, all you're telling them is what? We want to put you in the best possible position so that you're ready, when you're ready to make an offer, that you're able to make an offer. Okay. And I suspect all of you are going to get writer's cramp today. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is, one, how do you put them in the best position? This is going to be your most common objection in the market today. So I have to buy on the other side of this and I'm going to wind up being homeless. You are not. Oh, good question, Linda. I will approach that. Okay. Hopefully, your clients won't have to rent. So the question that Linda just asked was, I would like to list, but I don't know that there's any places to rent. The rental market is what's driving the housing market. It's more expensive to rent than it is to own in a lot of cases. Okay. If they have your expertise and your knowledge, then they should never have to rent. So once we combat this objection and they know they don't have to rent, then they become much more willing to work with you and willing to proceed. And it's going to start with these words: seller to find suitable housing. That protects you from selling your home if you don't find a place. Okay. Once that objection, and they know, hey, we can put our house in the market. You can put in the listing, seller to find suitable housing. That lets every buyer know that if they want to make an offer on this, they're going to have to be flexible on possession date. They're going to have to work with you. For buyers, they can offer up to a 59-day rent back after closing without changing their financing. At 60 days, their financing becomes non-owner occupied and their percentage will go up. So you can protect both sides to say, hey, we have a 45-day close and then we have another 60 days, potentially another 60 days after that to find it. But in order to get our offer accepted, we need to hit the market. We need to put your house on the market and get that pending so we're not a contingent offer. Because if you're in a competing situation, a contingent offer is probably not going to be accepted. If you're pending, a contingent offer means basically you have to sell your house to buy your house. You need the money from your down payment from the house to buy your house. Okay. So if you put an offer in that's contingent on you selling your house, that is a contingency. And that's what we call a bumpable buyer. So if your offer does happen to get accepted, then what we have is the opportunity at that point to move forward. Your offer gets accepted, the house goes into what we call a bumpable buyer status, which means it's still on the market for people to offer, but that means we have to get their house pending as quickly as possible. Okay, so therefore you don't have a need for a rental.
Sorry, so Matt, are you saying that putting in the words in seller to find suitable housing is not a contingency?
Well, it is a contingency. It lets the buyers know they have to work with you.
Okay.
Right, and they have to work on your possession. Now, here's the thing. Just because you put it in the listing contract, if somebody writes a contract and nothing is in there, there's no rent back given, and there's nothing in there on an addendum that says seller to find suitable, buyer and seller to work together, find suitable housing, or however it looks, seller to find suitable housing, the contract supersedes the listing agreement.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your clients could be homeless if it's not in the contract.
Right.
So anytime your seller needs to find suitable housing, you need to make sure that there's a counter offer out there that says buyer understands seller needs to find suitable housing. Okay. So when we talk about that, so that objection, right? I don't know where I'm going to go. If you hear this in an open house and you don't know anything about it, and then you start talking about protecting your clients and their your fiduciary responsibility is to make sure they get to where they want to go in a timely manner and not be homeless, then guess what? You've just raised their eyebrow because you taught them something that nobody else has taught them. We're here to educate people. Okay. Now we're going to dive into what are our, I don't want to go into the listing. It's kind of, it's old school. You'll get more from me talking. Okay. First thing we want to do, one, pre-qualify the seller. What do we pre-qualify them with? Jacqueline, do you know? This was scripts last week. The conversation.
Uh-oh. Not the loan officer?
What's that?
Not a loan officer?
Well, no, not if they're selling their house. Depends on what they want to do afterwards. Everything that we do as real estate agents is, where do your clients want to go? Where do they want?
Oh, sorry, not loan qualifying.
Where do they want to go? What's their motivation? Why do they want to sell? Give me some examples of what are ways that people want to, what are reasons people want to sell right now?
Well, the money, they've made so much money on their houses because the market is so great.
They have so much equity that they want to get out at the top of the market. And
so they might want to move to a lower area, area that has lower prices. Exactly.
And start over. They've got enough equity that they want to build, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving out of state is another one. That's a huge one right now. Okay. What are some areas that when we talk about for getting objections, what are reasons they wouldn't want to sell right now?
They always say they're not ready.
They're going to have to jump into a competitive market to buy again.
Exactly. What if I were to tell you, no matter how hot the market is, there's always two markets? If you talk to them about the secondary market, who knows what the secondary market is?
Foreclosures?
It's anything that's been on the market for over a week, essentially.
Oh.
Exactly. If you stay up to date on the numbers and you stay up to date on what the market's doing and your TMOs, then you're going to know when that secondary market kicks in. Right now, with technology, with 97% of people having one of these, they put in their search criteria, boom, they're looking. Oh, just a second here. Okay. I had to let somebody in. They're looking on their phones. They put in their criteria. They find something that they like. Boom, they open it up on whether it's a different web, you know, if it's a different browser, whether it's Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Trulia, whatever these things are. Man, abuse. Everybody, this is Noah.
Hi, everyone.
This is Ignite.
Oh, it's Ignite. I'm inappropriate. I'm sorry. He's got a really smooth head, though.
Shocking.
Love you, man.
It tastes like coconut.
Sorry.
He didn't eat very much, though.
What's that? That's the KW culture, I guess. I'm sorry. But here's what I would tell you. When we talk about 97% of people having cell phones, then the best thing we can do is to show them what not just every realtor sees through your CMAs and your comparable market analysis, but also what every buyer can see. So this is how you're going to win your sellers. Fundamentally, sellers bring what to the game? They bring what to the transaction? Anybody?
What do sellers bring to the transaction?
What do they bring to the when they want to sell their house? What's your biggest hiccup?
For how much?
They want to bring emotion. They want to bring their memories. They want to bring everything to the table to overprice their house. It's going to be up to you to be able to talk them off the ledge, so to speak. Why is your house worth $750?
Or $1 million.
Right? And this is what I tell everybody when I go into a listing appointment. Look, I want you to get $1 million. I make more money the more money I sell your house for.
Ooh, good one.
Realistically, we work with, we interpret the market. That's our job as real estate agents. We interpret the market. List price will determine the activity. The activity will determine the sale price. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. First thing I do with every listing is I Google the address. Why do I Google the address? Because that's what everybody can see. So fundamentally, I know that if Zillow, everybody, 3 times as many people use Zillow as any other website. Why is Zillow so popular? It was a way that they didn't have to talk to realtors and still know about their #1 investment.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is their #1 investment. This keeps their family safe, provides a roof over their head. It's an opportunity to build wealth. And we don't take that lightly. We know how important this is. And our job is to get them the highest price the market will bear in the quickest amount of time. See, we know with technology, no matter how good the market is, sellers have 2 weeks or less to sell their property at list price or above.
Do you feel like when you work with sellers that for the most part they're pretty like you can talk them into listing it at what you want? Like if you had to gauge a percentage of people that are cooperative, I guess.
When I'm done with my listing presentation, yes. And I will tell you guys this, the only time that I don't know when I'm going to get the price that I want is when my wife shows up with me.
Whoa. Hey, that might be.
Is that harsh?
Yeah, that might not be politically correct.
Dead serious. It becomes 3-on-1 because they suck her in with the emotion. And then then she's like, oh, what's an extra $5,000? It's a lot.
I mean, like after you tell them that like lowering the price a little bit is going to get them 97% of the market, how do they not cooperate?
Actually,
That's like
so what I mean by that, so what I mean by 97% is 97% of people have this. They all have the home apps. They all have the tools to show what the house is worth, whether it's right or wrong. Those tools are there. So fundamentally, you know that if you walk into a listing appointment, and this is an example that I've gone through, okay? They had their house on Zillow for 8 days at $575. Their Zestimate was $539.9. What's your first thought?
It's overpriced.
That's
What was the first number? Sorry.
575.
And then on Zillow, it was what?
539.
Oh.
So whether Zillow's right or wrong, all that is buyer's perception.
That's the buyer decided the price, right? Kind of.
Well, he was trying to sell it on his own without a realtor, and he wanted 575. So you see,
the seller decided.
The seller. The seller wanted to sell it for 35,000 overpriced,
right?
25,000, right? Whatever that number is off the top of my head. I had it in my head at one point. So there's things that you want to know when you walk in. One, are they trying to sell their house on Zillow as a for sale by owner? If I didn't check this research and I didn't Google the address, I would have never known that they had been on the market for 8 days as a for sale by owner.
Oh, they called you after they listed it themselves, after they realized they weren't selling it?
We had an appointment like 2 weeks out, and then they decided they were going to try to sell it on their own before they had appointments with realtors. So fundamentally, when I walked in and saw that it was at 539 and they were trying to sell it at 575, okay, I also use my TMOs. Does everybody know what those are?
No, say it again.
They're your total market overviews that you get from your market centers on Monday. And it tells you everything you need to know about the area. And still to this day, I remember this one. It's like 112 listings in the last 6 months, 49 had sold. So that was a pending ratio of 44.9%. 19 had gone expired. So all of these things, and then we talked, and the average starting listing price was 574. It didn't sell till it got to 552. So what does that tell me when I'm reading my TMO? That tells me that people are overpricing their house in that neighborhood because they're so emotional, but they don't sell until they get to 552. Okay. So based on that information, I also have another strategy that when I list, I want to hit whole numbers.
Huh.
Okay. 97% of people know what a good deal is. Whether it's right or wrong, they're going to use Redfin, they're going to use Zillow, they're going to use Realtor. All of those websites come with an evaluation. Some of them change after you list the house to what you list the house for, but you've missed the initial reaction.
And you can't undo that after it's happened? I mean, can you, if you re-put a house on the market, do people forget? Like potential people looking? Okay.
After time. The number one thing when you walk into a listing is time on the market. When we talk about the secondary market, look, we want to get you the highest price the market will bear in the first 2 weeks. Every one of my listings stays on the market for 5 days. I don't care if I get a $30,000 over within the first 5 minutes it goes live. I'm keeping it on the market. I'm telling my clients to go away for the weekend, enjoy time with the family, take the stress out of their lives.
You say we'll discuss the price in 5 days if it gets
No.
if the price is too high?
No. Well, no. All I do is interpret the market.
Okay, so it needs to be on the market at the right price.
Exactly. Price will determine the activity. The activity will determine the sale price. Okay. So fundamentally, if I'd have listed that house at 574 and the buyer's perception is 539, nobody's getting off their couch. Nobody's coming to my open house. Right? We want to create the urgency. So the first thing you want to make them do is after you have them sign a contract is go in and fix their listing. You can fix their listing when you have your contract signed. I do not have them claim their listing anymore on Zillow because Zillow will reach out to them and offer to buy their house. Okay. Okay, so if 97%.
Question?
Real quick.
I don't understand what you mean by fix their listing. Would you repeat that again? You caught me off guard.
You broke up for a second.
Fix their listing? What does that mean again? I'm sorry.
Where they can claim the house as the owner and make sure that it's, in this case, when I walked through the house, I noticed it was a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Public Records has it a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Zillow had it as a 3-bedroom, 3 bath. So hopefully if they changed it to 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath, then the algorithms would catch up to the price they wanted. See, this is everything. So that's a great question. Linda says, Matt, so if 97% of people know all this info, what is the influential information a realtor can bring to the sales table these days? Know your strategies. They don't know how this process works. They don't know that there's 4 negotiating points. They don't know you have a disclosure period. They don't know that they have an inspection period. They don't know that repairs are negotiated, right? Or an appraisal period. You have all of these things are outs for the buyers. And it's your job to protect them through the entire process. Know your negotiating points. That's the value. Nobody teaches this in high school. They don't teach this in college or on the real estate exam. Only as you get into it do you realize this, right? How many people want to have listings as the backbone of their business? Everybody's hand should be up. Listings are the backbone. They can lead to buyers. They can lead to other transactions. It's free marketing. Your sign's in the yard. Okay, especially if a person has not had a listing yet, so they can't say every one of my listing goes pendings in 5 days or under. Number one thing you have to get out of your head is that getting a listing has everything to do with you, and it has when it has nothing to do with you. If your listing presentation is spot on, and all we want to do in a listing presentation, which we're about to dive into, is to give them the resources that they need and the strategy that they need to get to where they want to go. Every single one of my clients has 3 different strategies they can go with. And it depends on their motivation. They can list on the high side on price because I give them a range. So what I told these people was we have a range of between 525 and 575. High side is 575, where people are going to perceive that it's overpriced and they're not going to get off their couch. And you're waiting for that 3% of people to come to the house and buy it. That's what I mean by the 3% or the 97%. You're waiting for that person that's what I mean by working with the 97%. I've seen the numbers for Zillow, and I know 3 times as many people use Zillow as anything else. That's why I use this. Okay. So at that point, I explained there's 3 different possibilities for your house. 1, we fix it on Zillow, and we use that to our advantage. Okay. But the TMOs tell me more of an information and more story than anything else. And it told me that the final sales price was $552. Okay. I want to put the most amount of people in that house in the first weekend. So based on this, if they fixed their listing and we put it on the market and we listed it at 550, it has to be a price that they're willing to accept. If we went 550 and after 5 days we got one offer in at 550, that's the price. That's what their house is worth on the market at that time. All we're doing is interpreting the market. We're not here to tell them what we're going to sell our house for. We're not here to promise them high and watch when they get low. If they get low, if you promise us something and you don't get it, you look bad. Okay? I will tell you this. My listing presentation, I use the bold listing presentation. How many people have taken bold? Anybody? Highly suggested. It will change your mindset. It will change your life. And this isn't a shame promotion. It puts you in the right perspective. See, this business has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with you, how long you've been in the business, what you know. It has everything to do with what you know. And the faster you can get educated and you can engage to learn, the better you can help more clients. When I walk into my listing presentation, it's simply this. I'm going to establish myself as the professional. The hardest thing you will do is going to be to close, to ask for the business, because you think it's going to be about you. How long have you been in the business? How many listings have you had? It doesn't matter. How many people agree with that? Raise your hands. All they need to do is to feel confident in your strategies to get them to where they want to go. Once they're confident with your strategies and that you know the process that they're going to have to be by your side to explain, then you're going to get the business. So we have to look at every different variable. Every variable that's out there that buyers can see, and we're going to use it to the advantage of our sellers. Why? Because we know that there's 2 weekends to sell their house at list price or above.
May I say something?
Yeah. Feel free. Anybody can talk.
It also, I think it's how confident you look. I mean, it is not about us, but if you go into an appointment and you are sweating and your voice is breaking and you have your papers, but you are looking around, and I mean, that, yeah, it's not about how long have you been in the business, but at that moment, it looks like you are new, and you have to look confident. So you have to know what you know, right? Even what you don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think it's like when they trust you, then you get the listing.
That's what's going to grow the trust. That is confidence. What is going to build the confidence. My listing presentation, I'll tell you, you guys want to hear my first listing presentation?
Sure.
Hey, thanks for having me. Love your house. Love what you've done with it. What do you think your house is worth? They said $599. I said, great, let's put a sign in the yard and let's do it.
Really?
That was my first.
Oh no.
Right?
So that was because you didn't know how much the house was value, or what? Why? How did you come up with that one?
I was afraid that I would tell them something they didn't want to hear and they wouldn't hire me.
Right.
Okay.
How many people have that fear?
God, kidding me? In every business, I think.
So you want to know what I did to get that listing? I put my sign in the yard at $599. But then I had to look around and say, what am I going to do to get this house to $599? Because what can we change about a listing? The only thing we can change, we can't change the location. We can change the condition and we can change the price. Well, obviously they weren't going to go with a different price. So they had blackberry bushes all along the front. And so I looked at my brother and I says, we're going to go clear out those blackberry bushes and give them a view.
So, oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
So I spent the weekend clearing out blackberry bushes with a wood chipper to get this listing.
To sell.
To sell. To get to the $599. I thought it should be $499, which, by the way, I never use nines anymore. I only use whole numbers. I will use straight up. If it's $499, it's $500. It's not my job to tell somebody that the house is not going to be worth $500. $499 is an old grocery store trick. It's an old car salesman trick. It's an old, you didn't even pay $500,000 for it. You know what everybody wants? 500. You're going to expose it to more people looking. You're going to expose it to people looking from 400 to 500, 500 to 600. You're going to expose it to people looking from 475 to 500, 450 to 500, 425 to 500. They'll top it out at that 500. But you know what else it does? People are going to be looking from 500 to 600, 525, 500 to 525, 500 to 550. We get more eyes on it. We want to maximize those numbers, and pricing does that. If you list on the high side, we know 15 to 25% of people are going to see it, but they're going to perceive a bad deal and they're not going to get off their couch. We know if we list it for fair market value and what it's going to sell for. So in this case, the TMOs told me, hey, this house is going to sell for $550. It's not going to sell until it gets to $550, $552. So I told them I would hit the $550 and it would maximize the exposure. Everybody from 525 to 550 would be looking at it. Everybody from 500 to 550 would be looking at it, or 550 to 575, or 550 to 600 would be looking at it, which exposes you to what? An opportunity to get multiple offers. The key with every listing is to put your people and your sellers in the best possible position throughout the negotiations. Time on the market is your enemy. What I mean by that, if it's on the market for 3 weeks, if it's on the market for a month, if it's on the market and you come in and you offer full price representing buyers, shame on you. It's your job to know every story that house starts with, and that's the history. So we need to gather as many opportunities when we can take what we learned from working with our buyers to transitioning to our sellers. How I started transitioning to my listings from my buying was when I took what I learned as buyer's rep and transferred it to the listing. And I said, look, you have 2 weeks to sell your house at list price or above. After that, you do not want agents like me coming in and writing an offer on your place, because I will be the only one here. And I know nobody else is interested at this price, but I will offer under your list price. And I know I'm not the only one at the table. So when it comes time to inspect, have your inspections. When it comes time to have your appraisal, when it comes time to negotiate your repairs, you want to have the best possible situation as a seller. You want to leverage your opportunity. When you understand there is 3 other parts to the negotiations, it's not just about your list price, it's about the disclosures, the inspections, and the appraisal. So the inspection is where they're going to get you. They're going to ask for every repair known to man. They're going to ask for that tub to be caulked. They're going to ask for that nail to be pushed back in. That laundry list that an appraisal gives, or that an inspector gives you. Okay. So when I walk into a listing presentation, list price will determine the activity. The activity will determine the sale price. My job is to find the price that's going to give you the opportunity to strengthen your position throughout the entire process. It's not just about the offer. The offer is phase 1. Phase 2 is the disclosure period. Phase 3 is the inspection period. All of these are negotiating points that the buyer can back out of the agreement. Your go time is your first 2 weekends. Your first weekend especially. Any questions?
Do you gather all the offers together? Do you wait like 3 or 4 days and then present all the offers at one time?
Say that again.
I heard that realtors wait over the weekend till after the open houses and then they present all the offers at one time.
I present them legally. Your obligation is to present them as they come in, but it's your job to present them, but know that they expire, right?
I guess I don't mean present. I mean hear the offers as a listing agent. Sorry.
I present them all as they come in.
Okay, that's all. That's what I wanted to know.
But I don't respond until Tuesday at 5, right?
Okay.
Or Monday.
I hear you.
Monday at 8 p.m. I want, because your clients as sellers are on pins and needles.
Right.
They're
ready to respond.
This is stressful. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is. Emily, what's your question? I can't get my chat box to open up.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I just asked if there's a best day of the week to list your house.
The best days of the week to list the house is going to be when they're ready. You want to be ready day 1. When I say ready day 1, that means everything completed. I will also tell you this. I generally like to shoot for Thursdays. Thursday, it goes live. Friday, I go walk the neighborhood to invite the neighbors to my listing for a potential to get more listings. But also, it's their opportunity as you invite them. It's your opportunity to invite them to have a say in who their neighbors are going to be. I also want to let them know that this house is going live on the market, and I'm doing them a courtesy. And that courtesy is letting them know that there's going to be an increase in traffic over the weekend. You think you get screamed at for letting somebody know there's going to be an increase in traffic over the weekend? Or that you're giving them a say in what their neighborhood looks like? Find ways that work for you guys. That you can actually have the conversation when you knock. So my listing presentation is simply this. When I walk up, I know the CMA, I have the CMA that I have already asked all of these listing pre-qual questions.
Matt, real quick,
Yep.
the stuff that is linked to today's mission for like the listing presentation stuff, I can't seem to download it. I don't know, I can download other things in there, but not the listing presentation and a few other things. So I don't know if it's just me or anybody else had an issue.
Anybody else having that issue? Please say it's just her.
Has anybody tried to download the stuff for today, mission 4?
I haven't.
So if you guys could go into KW Connect and then go to the bottom where the Ignite resources are and try to click on.
Actually, go to kwtechhelp.com.
Okay.
And then hit the Ignite button on the top. And it should say student resources.
Hang on, I'm trying to get there.
Okay. I use the bold listing script, which is simply this. One, you schedule your appointment. When are you looking to list? Okay. The big thing for me is asking the right questions to get that appointment. When somebody can say, the best form of lead generation is going to be an open house. When you see somebody in an open house, what brings you here today? How did you find us? How long have you been looking? So we're private investigators trying to figure out their situation. Why do you want to sell? Do you have to sell your home to buy this one? Nolan, you were in an open house. How many times did that question get answered with, we have to sell our house and it's not on the market yet?
Multiple times.
If you did sell your home, where would you move to? See, at KW, we have referral partners all over the United States, all over the world. If they want to move out of state, if they want to move to Spain, you can help them. You can get a referral fee. They can still be your clients for life, even from Spain, which, by the way, I do have clients moving to Spain. Guess who's getting 25%? Right? Are you living in your dream home right now? That's a great question when you get in front of people. How many people would say yes to that? One of the best questions you can ask is when you're in a listing appointment is this: what's the price you won't go below? We know that the fair market value attracts 45 to 55% of people, and you have 45 to 55% of people with eyes on it. If you go 1 to 5% less than fair market value, that number goes from 75 to 90% of eyes on it. I can't tell you what your house is going to sell for. All I can do is interpret the market. Okay. List price is determine the activity. Once you say that, how easy is it to get the price? Don't fall in love with the list price. I want a price that's going to determine the most activity. You have the choice, but know that if you list on the high side, it can cost you 25, 50 grand. Because you're working with 3% of buyers that don't have a cell phone. Here's my listing presentation. Knock, knock. Hi, this is Matt Spate with Team Spate Real Estate at Keller Williams Sunset Corridor. Thanks for having me today. Love what you've done to the house. I'm finding something great about the house. And sometimes that's tough. Okay, when you walk in and it's a hoarder's dream, whew, that's brutal, right? Thanks for having me. It's 3 o'clock. We have an appointment at 3 o'clock. Why do I point out the time? Realtors are notoriously late. You're going to show up to every listing presentation 15 to 30 minutes early. Okay. Sit in
a car for 30 minutes, or you just like?
You can drive around the neighborhood. You can drive around the neighborhood. You can walk around the front yard. If they see you out there, then you're just kind of looking at, what are you looking at? You're looking at the age of the roof, the condition of the roof. You're looking at the siding. Is it new windows? Is it nicely manicured? Is the grass dead? What are things that you can do to it? Okay. And that's what we want to do. Okay. So great. Thank you for having me today. I look forward to selling your house. Is it okay if we come in and sit at the dining room table? One, I'm subliminally planting the message that he's going to list with me. That I'm not going to list his house, I'm going to sell his house. A lot of agents list houses. We want to sell them. I'm already starting to take control to show that I'm the professional. Why the dining room table? That's where most decisions are made. In a house. Okay. We sit at the dining room table, and it's as simple as this. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. I know your time is very valuable. The first thing I would like to do is walk through your house through the eyes of a buyer. I know you want to go with me, but I need to look at it through the eyes of the buyer to see what they're seeing. I've been doing this a long time. And I won't be very long, but I need to know what we're looking at. Then we can dive into the 3 other things that we want to establish today. Great. What are we going to establish today? Today, we're going to determine your motivation. Then we're going to talk about price. And then we're going to talk about whether or not you want to work with me or I want to work with you. That's my listing presentation. That's my listing presentation right there.
Matt,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
So what if you show up to a house and it's just absolutely nothing that you don't want to work with the people, you aren't comfortable with the listing? How would you bow out of that at that point if they say, oh, we really want you?
My question would be this. One, why do you not want to work with them? Two, we always want to give people, when they have the right direction, the chance to work with you. Okay. It's our job to educate them as to the process. They don't know what it takes to list their house. Okay.
Okay.
So in the meantime, what do I do? So now we're at the table and I say, I need to walk your house through the eyes of a buyer. What that means is I'm going to be particular. I've already looked at the roof. I've already looked at the windows. I'm looking at it through the eyes of an inspector, basically. And then I'm walking through and I'm taking notes. I'm filling out the RMLS input sheet as much as that as I can. How old is the house? I know how old it is, right? We've done our trio. We order our trio from our title company before we get to the appointment. Okay, we look up through county records what we can do to that property. Are there any zoning restrictions? What can be done for development opportunities? Okay, so we should know those things as well. So at that point, then it's just figuring out a price and determining the condition of the house. If you got projects that aren't done, it's a hoarder's dream. I've walked into a house, I told them 340, they cleared everything out. Once they cleared everything out, the 340 was no longer relevant. The list price jumped 50,000. Just by cleaning out their house and emptying it. There's a lot of different strategies and every house is different. Okay. What it comes down to is this. Once you walk through the house through the eyes of the buyers, these are the things you're looking at. One, how old's the furnace? How old's the water heater? I'm turning on the water. I'm checking underneath the sinks for leaks. I'm looking at the electrical. Those are the pillars to your house that are the functionality of the house. Okay. I'm looking for water stains in the ceilings. I'm looking for rot issues around windows as I'm walking through the house. All of those are going to affect a buyer's perception and they're going to affect the price. But if I look through the eyes of a buyer, and the exact term is I need to see it through the eyes of a buyer since you won't be here when they have showings. So you're setting up the process that when somebody asks for an appointment, you're not going to be there as the seller. Okay. Every realtor has to abide by certain ethics to be able to get into your house. We have an electronic registration for that, and we will ask for feedback from everybody who comes into your house. Okay. Every showing is usually between 20 minutes and 45 minutes. If it means just walking around the block, around the neighborhood, then walk around the neighborhood. But we want to give everybody access to the house as soon as we go live. If we have restrictions, the more restrictions you place on a house, the less opportunity you're giving buyers. Every strategy, every situation is different. So now if somebody asks you the question in the listing appointment that says, you know, I can only show the house from 12 to 4, I'm a day sleeper, and then I can go from 4 to 8, all you're doing is explaining the situation. Look, I understand that you're a day sleeper. It may be hard, but we really need to let buyers get into it the first weekend to be able to expose your home to the market. All we're doing is exposing their home to the market. The less restrictions we have, the more buyers we bring to the table. It's more of an opportunity for list price or above. Okay. Let's see. I find it, let's see, Linda, let's see. I find it, after working entirely with buyers for the past 3 years, I find it very scary to find a strategy to get the business when I'm up against other agents who've had successful listings already. It's hard to find a value statement that sets a person apart from all of the rest of us out there. Okay. This is the hard part. This is the value strategy when you get it. One, you're using technology. You understand the market. You understand that 97% of people use technology, and you're going to use that in your pricing strategy. Two, you're going to look at the house through the eyes of a buyer, not with their emotion. So you're going to take control of that listing appointment. Okay.
So Matt, can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. I changed headphones.
Headphones
for some reason weren't working. Okay, I get the technology piece from one standpoint, but if they're having, and I do run into this with people, they're like, well, what can you give me that I can't already get my hands on? I'm on Zillow, I'm on Realtor.com, I'm on this, that, and the other thing. And I know the one thing we have is the TMO, which really they don't have access to that kind of data consolidated that we can say, yeah, okay, so you've got a general overview from picking around out there, looking at homes in your neighborhood. But I can tell you I can tell you some overall figures that will help put this all in perspective for you. And I do like the part about, us not being emotional, although I don't know if that's valued or not.
Here's what I would tell you. Don't look for the one thing, look for all of it and put it together. What we understand is there's 3 points to the negotiations. And you want somebody, so if somebody, let's just say this, somebody comes up to you and says, Linda, I love what you bring to the table, but I found another agent to do it for less commission. Does that throw you off?
Yeah, it does right now.
Okay. Best thing you can do is engage. Come to scripts. We cover this. We give you the objections. We give you ways. If somebody looks at me and says, and this is a perfect conversation that I had just started coaching with my own coach. And I had a conversation with a client who was moving up here from Vegas. And he came up here to look at houses. And he says, good news, I just listed my house and the listing agent's going to list it for 1%. I said, that sounds like a huge win. I said, but let me give you something to think about. And he says, what's that? And I said, you see, this is your number one purchase. This is the health, the safety, the equity that you can use to build wealth. This is your number one investment. And I don't take that lightly. And neither should you. You just put somebody in charge of your number one investment that can't fight for his own money to put food on his table. And you're going to put him in charge of your negotiations after you get an offer. Does that make you think differently?
It does, yeah.
I said, how do you feel now?
What was his response?
I want to fire the guy. People don't understand that there's three parts to the negotiations. There's three opportunities that offer prices just offer price. This is your value proposition. There are three opportunities for buyers to get out of buying the house. What are those? Disclosure periods. Mm-hmm. Every seller has to fill out, by the way, when I get back to the listing presentation, I'll tell you exactly when I pull that in. I take my disclosures with me to my listing presentation. As I'm walking the house, okay, great. First thing I need to do is look at your house through the eyes of a buyer. As I do that, I know you want to come with me. We'll do that last. But what I really want you to do is take a look at these disclosures. So when you list with me, that we can save time on the other side of filling out the paperwork. And I want you to take these disclosures. It's everything that you know about the house. I needed you to answer every question as truthfully as you can, because this is the number one reason that sellers get sued. Boom. What's your value proposition in that statement? You're accepting the liability.
Right. And educating them to the fact that they'll have liability if they don't
exactly
do the right thing.
Yeah. Then you can see how far they are in the process of filling that out. You know how engaged they are. If they've started filling them out, guess what? You've won the listing. Okay, we're going to look through the house as you're filling that out. I'm going to walk through the house and make notes, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk to you. And we're going to discuss the price, or your motivation, the price, and whether or not we want to work together.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do we get the form for the disclosures, like in the future?
It is on your listing packet.
Oh, I can't access that listing packet.
No, it's on your OREF forms.
Where's that?
Zip forms.
Oh, and zip forms. Okay, I haven't done my zip forms yet. I need to do that.
Get with Mara, set up your templates, and build and make sure you have that. And here's what I would tell you: when you get to know the process of the real estate world, right? And that process is one, knowing that there's three different types of negotiations that they can get out, right? That all the paperwork, once you get to know the paperwork, read every contract, read the contracts that we use once the templates are put in your thing. That's where you're going to learn the most, right? If it's a well, what is the well? What's the well addendum? What do they search for? What inspections do you need? There's so many aspects to listing a home. Do they have a well? Do they have a septic system? General rule on a septic system is what? Sellers pay for the sellers pay for the pumping, and buyers pay for the inspection. This is why it's important to engage and learn as much as you can, because every situation and every house is different, and it's your job to find the story.
Do you ever advise? Oh, sorry, Barton, you can go ahead.
I just wanted to throw in for you, actually, get that done before you need it, because I did need it over the weekend, and it took like 2 days for the forms to populate to my zip forms, and I didn't have them when I needed them.
Okay, and so that's like where all of our templates are?
Yep.
Okay.
You have to create the templates. Yeah, all the documents are there. So you can get in access to the OREF. That's the number one thing you can do as you're building your business and you're meeting people and you're wondering what you can do. That is the number one thing you can do. Set up your templates.
It's okay. The special forms for Oregon.
Yep.
Okay.
OREF forms.
Do I have to call or get a hold of Mara in order to sign up for Zip Forms, or can I like get an account without her?
You can do it
without her.
This is like zipforms.com.
No.
Go to RMLS.
It's not zipforms.com. It's OREF. OREFonline.com.
There's also Zip Forms Plus.
Yeah, it's called, they renamed it Zip Forms Plus now.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask if you ever advise your sellers to get an inspection. I know buyers pay for an inspection, but like if an owner gets an inspection and not to get repairs, but just to kind of know ahead of time what potentially could be wrong so they could have good disclosures.
I will tell you this. I think it depends on your seller. Once you know, you have to disclose. Now, if they want to hand off, they have pride in ownership and they've got a meticulous home and they want to dial it in and make sure that everything is there, then absolutely yes. But leave it up to your clients. Look, we don't get in the attic. We don't get in the crawl space. We don't know what they're going to find. The only true way to do that is through an inspection. If you don't want any surprises, we can absolutely spend $400 to $500 and have an inspection come in and tell us everything we need to know about the house. And then you can address what you want to address or not.
I mean, that might be a better strategy to do when it's a buyer's market, because right now it's a seller's market. So you're pretty much going to sell your house. But if it, you know, you're having a hard time selling your house, it might be an advantage to get that.
Here's what I would tell you. Every option that you provide, it's their option. If you know the strategy to be able to work with that, then you're going to get that. You're going to get that client. That ultimately depends on to you. That ultimately, if you want to get an inspection beforehand, if somebody asks me that, I say, well, that depends on you. Do you want your house to be perfect? Do you want to know if there's anything, is there mold in the attic? Is there anything that would trouble you about the functionality of the house that may raise red flags as we go through the process and buyers have their inspections?
And most people get inspections.
I would, if you're one of my buyers and you don't get an inspection, you are signing something that says that against the advisement of your real estate agent, you've still chosen not to have an inspection.
And people are doing that in this market.
Why would they do that? Or they're saying this. Or they're saying, we're going to have an inspection. We're going to buy the house as is, but we want to know. Right? Huge liability if you advise your clients not to do an inspection. And honestly, every one of my clients does an inspection. Or they sign that waiver. They sign that addendum that says basically against the advisement of their real estate agent, you've chosen not to do a home inspection or a sewer scope. Or I will tell you this, 4 out of 5 of my sewer scopes come back bad. Is that number shocking to everybody?
My home I sold last year had a issue. It needed a repair.
Barton, congratulations. That's awesome. So what I would tell you is that trees have roots. Roots need water. Why would you advise your clients? How do you get your clients to do an inspection? One, you explain the situation. Look, every seller isn't in the attic. They're not in the crawl space. That's where mold, mildew, feces, radon comes from. We want to start you at ground zero. If you go with no inspections, then you don't have an opportunity to figure out if the sewer is bad. You don't have an opportunity to see that the radon is bad. Now, I know in Eugene, radon's not as prevalent. Every single one of my listings, we're doing radon. Why? Radon is an invisible gas that comes up through the ground that if it comes into the house and it reads over 4 mega whatever, whatever the reading is, if it's over 4, then it needs to be mitigated. That's a $1,500 expense that if you don't have an inspection, you're going to have to pay for. And you probably won't find out about it until you've lived with radon gas in your home, until somebody comes and buys it and has a radon inspection. You want to spend $125 to save $1,500?
Well, to save your health as well.
Right? Every person that comes up and says, I've never smoked a day in my life and I've got lung cancer. 9 out of 10 times I go put a radon machine in their house, guess what I'm going to find? Radon gas. It's the number 2 leading cause of cancer, lung cancer. Now, I will also say that it depends on your clients. If your client smokes 25 packs a month of cigarettes, is he going to care about radon? Probably not. Okay, so this is where it's important to read your clients. If you walk into your appointment and your client is, say, a high D, mess around, and you're joking around and you're talking to them, having a good old time, and you're in an hour and a half on your listing appointment, you're not going to get that listing. Learn to read your clients as soon as you walk up. Know the disc profiles. So if you walk into my house and you're listing with me and you spend 20 minutes with me and you're out the door, you're not getting my listing. I want information. I want data, right? Know what you're looking for. Okay. Are you an S and C? Are you cautious? Are you steady? What are those, right? So let's go back to the table and we'll go back into that. There's a lot of different variables that go in this way. So there's not just one way to do this. It's find a way that's comfortable. It's find a way that's going to stand out, right? And I found the more information that I give, that I can negotiate through any strategy, that's when my business turned from buyers to sellers. My business before I got to Keller Williams was 90% buyers. Now I'm 70-30. That's not to brag, but it's because I learned more from being here. I learned about listings. I learned what it took. I'm able to talk in front of you guys now because I failed at a listing presentation. I failed against our CEO. Thank God I didn't know it at the time, but I went up against him in a listing presentation.
How was that?
What's that?
How was that? Tell me the story.
Everybody want to hear this story?
Yes, I want to hear it again.
Did you hear it before?
Yes, I did.
It's tough, right? So I was 6 months here at KW. I just finished Ignite. I got a referral from a friend. Actually, he was the food truck owner where I bring food trucks in to my open houses. And he was trying to get back on the west side from his business anyway. So yes, we can talk about that next time. I bring food trucks to my open houses because I want to drive activity. That can be a selling point. Yes, that does cost money. I wouldn't do it if you don't have the money, but you have to pay for the catering. You have to pay for the food ahead of time, and then they'll come out and basically you buy the food. The people put in their order. They come in the house and then they go back out and get their food. No food enters the home. Food trucks in Portland have 25,000 followers. Okay. It's ways to bring activity. Think outside the box for your clients. This situation where I went up against our CEO at the time was Craig Rieger. He had first appointment. I had Wednesday at 2. I got there. I was early. I walked up. And the first thing I noticed was the discrepancy. The discrepancy in the house. Zillow had it at a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It was a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So I walked in, also saw that they'd been advertising on Zillow. And I said, I see that you're trying to sell it on your own. And they said, yes, we tried to sell it before we had these appointments, because then we would have just canceled these appointments. And I said, great. Are you very comfortable with the process of selling your home and what that entails? And they said, well, we just put it on the market. We put it on Zillow and we were going to see if we got any offers. I'm like, have you seen the statistics of what Zillow's pulled? You've had over 1,500 views in 8 days on Zillow, and you've had 74 people save it. How many showings have you had in the last week? 1. That was it. And I said, great. So here's the value proposition. As I walked in, I said, it's nice to meet you. Jake, who was my referral, says great things about you. I can't wait to help. And I asked the question, are you interviewing other agents? And they said, yes, they were going to do 3. Okay. So I went through, I said, first thing I want to do is walk through your home, through the eyes of a buyer. They wanted to come with me. And I said, well, when you list with me, and I went through the whole spiel, when you list with me, here's the disclosures. I need to see it from the eyes of a buyer. I said, let me go through the house. I'll be very quick. It's going to be like 5 minutes. If you can start these disclosures, then we can talk about the house and your motivation, price point, and how fast you want to, where you want to go, whether or not we want to work together. Anyway, so I go through, I start walking through and I make my notes. I come back and I'm sitting at the table and I said, so you've been trying to sell your house for 8 days now. And I went through my TMOs. I said, what do you know about your neighborhood? What can you tell me? Have you paid attention to the neighborhood? And they said, yes. Most of the people, is 575. But when I looked at all my comps, they were all selling right around 550 to 560. And I asked them where they wanted to go, right? What's your motivation? Where do you want to sell? Well, their motivation was they wanted to buy the single level that just dropped price to 560 in the neighborhood as a single level to be close, stay in the same neighborhood as their grandkids. So they had a relationship with their grandkids. They wanted a bigger, better relationship with the grandkids. And I said, okay. I said, that's great. Well, that one just dropped in price and they actually lowered it to a price where it's probably going to sell this weekend. And they said, that's why we're having these interviews now, is we need to get this pending so we can buy the house. Great. So we need to sell this to buy this. Is there any bridge financing? Can you do a bridge? Maybe get financing, pull equity out of this instead of selling it? Your choice. It's just another option, right? So I want to give them options to think about everything. And so I went through my TMOs and I said, this is what I'm going to tell you about your neighborhood. Right now, 112, 49 pending, 65 pending, 49% ratio, whatever. Went through my TMO and I said, everybody starts at 574.9 and doesn't sell till it gets to 552. And then I just brought in my presentation about Zillow. And I said, the first thing we need to do is actually claim your home on Zillow to make sure that the algorithms can catch up. Because fundamentally right now you've been listed for 8 days and you've been listed at 575, where your Zestimate comes in is at 539. So you as a buyer, are you perceiving a good deal, and do you want to get off your couch? Would you come view it? So my sole purpose in my listing presentations is I want to take every seller and turn them into a buyer. I want to use the facts at my disposal and take the emotion out of it. Number one, do you perceive a good deal? And the answer, obviously, I asked it earlier, was it was overpriced. His response is, well, Zillow's not in my house. And I said, you're right, and neither is anybody else. List price will determine the activity. The activity will determine the sale price. If they're not coming to see your house, you're never going to sell your house. Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Trulia, all these websites have an evaluation next to them. It's your job to know those because that's what every buyer can see. That's what you need to understand. Okay. So we go through this. And he said, so what would you list my house at? And I said, it's not my job. I would list it between 525 and 575. 575 is the top. I said, but you already know that's going to sit on the market. You're not going to have any showings. We're going to appeal to 3% of people who don't have a cell phone. Or we can choose to work with 75 or 97% of people who do have a cell phone. And that means we drop the price. And that's going to strengthen your position throughout the negotiations. If I get a price in here and we get the activity and we get multiple offer situations, then we can put one in backup and we never have to hit the market again. I said, in this instance, I would probably put your house at 550. You know, like we wouldn't sell at 550. And I said, trust me, this is where I pulled out the, I want to sell your house for 575. I want to sell your house for 600. I want to do everything possible to get the highest price the market will bear in the quickest amount of time. Technology is changing our industry. You have 5 days to sell your house at the highest price the market will bear. You have 2 weeks to sell it at list price or above, 3 weeks to sell it. You're looking at a price reduction. When you're working with buyers, that's very important to know that. Between 2 and 3 weeks, every listing agent is having a conversation about dropping their price with the seller. If you can get in and they haven't lowered the price, you may not compete. You may be the only one at the table. What's wrong with the house? There's nothing wrong with the house other than the price. I've gotten a buyer a house for $112,000 under list price. It's a heck of a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. Okay. So when we talk about this listing presentation, he said, well, why do you want to list at 550? I said, ultimately, it's your choice what you list at. My belief is that with apps and the way people look and the way lenders work, people have more technology at their fingertips. So they're looking in $25,000 increments. So at 550, we're going to get more exposure. We're going to put more numbers on it. We're going to put more eyes on it. We're going to double the exposure. People are from 500 to 600 are that 500 to 550 are looking at it. 525 to 550 are looking at it. But then from 550 to 575 and 550 to 600 are looking at it. So we're quadrupling our exposure with the eyes that are on it by hitting the 550. And hopefully that drives up the price. But if you get one offer in after 5 days at 550, then the market's telling you your house is worth 550. My job is to put it on the market, perceive a good deal, so we can drive up the activity. And hopefully we have multiple offer situation. If we have a multiple offer situation, that is going to increase our negotiations through the entire process. And I don't care if I get an offer at 525. I don't care if I get another offer at 575. All they're going to know is there's 2 offers. Who's going to compete? We just need 2. Okay. So then they asked me an interesting question. And they said, at that point, how soon can you get my house on the market? And I looked at it and said, this is where I screwed up. I didn't match their motivation. Their motivation, if you remember, was the house around the corner was single level. They could stay in their neighborhood and it just dropped to a price. So this was a Wednesday at 2. I told them I could probably get it on the market by Friday. Okay. My answer should have been 24 hours. We can have it on in 24 hours. We'll go live. We'll walk the neighborhood. We'll have an open house on the weekend. We'll be pending this weekend. When I didn't match their motivation, when I left the appointment, they called Craig Rieger. And he used to teach 25 listings in 25 days, right? So I'm thankful I didn't know I was going against him because all nerves would have been shot. But I got that infamous call the next night from her, and said, hey, I want to thank you for your presentation. And it's the Keller Williams call. It's the Keller Williams script. I want to thank you for your presentation. We've decided to go another route, but if you have any buyers, please bring them by. And I was like, swift kick to the gut. So of course I kept a watch on it. I see who gets the listing. I walked by his office on that Wednesday or that next Monday morning. And I said, great listing, congratulations. And he asked me if I interviewed. And I said, yeah, I interviewed Wednesday at 2. And he looks at me and he says, sit down. So I sat down. When Craig tells you to sit down, you sit down, right? His first question to me, and I will pass this on to you because it was the biggest learning that transformed my business, was he said, how are your TMOs? So I explained and I went through the TMOs off the top of my head. And he goes, great. And he goes, what was it year over year? And I, what was the TMOs year over year? And they apparently went from 558 to 552. So that neighborhood was in a downward trend. And I said, well, I didn't have that. I've only been here 6 months. He says, now tell me what you do and how you bring technology into your listing presentation. So I explained how I use technology and how I use Realtor and Redfin and all of that to get the price. He goes, they called me after you left, asked me how I felt about Zillow and Realtor. And I told them I didn't give a crap. Pardon my French. But that's what he said. He goes, I told him I didn't care. I was going to sell your house. He told him he was going to list it 560. So we obviously had two different strategies, right? So at that point, had the most valuable thing he said to me at that point was, you would have got this listing 100% had you answered one question differently. When they ask you how long it would take you to put the house on the market, your answer should have been 24 hours. No matter what, we match our client's motivation.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Would it be 24 hours or would it be, when do you want your house on the market? When is ideal for you to have your house hit the market? Because then what if you really don't know that they want, you know, you haven't figured out that motivation quite yet, or
And
you
the
think
question,
you know what it is, but maybe
that's a
you're
great
wrong.
question. That's absolutely a great question, is when can you pinpoint when they want it done?
Yeah.
Great question, because this has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. Knowing their motivation, at that point, the answer should have been, she was basically telling me, you got the job if you can get it on in 24 hours. That's where I screwed up. So that's a great question. When do you want this on the market? What do you have?
Yeah, because it seems like you know, there might be something else they haven't shared with you as an agent at that point that we might not know about, and I think you could equally lose it by saying, I can have this on the market tomorrow, and they could be like, whoa, but we got Granny coming this weekend or whatever.
That's exactly it, right? So it's finding their motivation, but asking the question. I think that's a great point, Linda.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's changing the way we look at it, right? Instead of answering it, say, well, when do you want it on the market?
Yeah, because I lost one during the pandemic for that reason. I didn't ask.
Yep, that's a good question.
I didn't, because you know, we'd had this conversation. I thought I knew what their motivation was, and they'd been pretty much saying, oh, we're going to wait another year. And these are people I had sold a home to. So I not only lost their listing, but I also lost them as a buyer because I didn't ask the right questions.
So when we talk about failure, I didn't get the listing, but I got the opportunity to talk with one of the greatest minds in our business.
Yeah, it's worth something right there. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You guys want to know how many listings I've lost since?
0.
The only ones that I turned down.
Oh.
Why would I not work with somebody? They may decide to sell their house at a price that I know it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
And they're asking me to put my marketing budget and my money behind it to market their place at a price that I know is not going to sell. I would much rather walk away and let somebody else do it.
Hey, Matt. Speaking of like the marketing budget and stuff, I know some people when they do their listing presentations, they talk about how, you know, when they get to that part where they know they've got the listing and the people are signing on the line basically. Then the question comes up, what all do you include in this, you know, in your fees? And I know some people actually break out certain types of marketing, like for instance, that food truck might be an extra thing that you offer, or maybe you offer staging through your, I have different
price points. I have different price points.
Okay.
And I will tell you this, it's a great way to go. Okay. One, it gives them the choice.
Right.
If somebody asks me to reduce my commission, my first question is, great, which one of these do you not want me to do?
Okay.
Okay. So put together different plans. If I just have no marketing behind it, I haven't done any of that, and we're just writing a contract, and I give every client the opportunity once we sign a contract, I give every client the opportunity to let me show their property to my buyers and see if it works for them. Because then I can save money, they can save money, I can double end it and do a 3% and just do the paperwork. Okay.
Yep.
Our number one value proposition is we take away the liability. We walk them through the process, and that's extremely valuable. You want to pay me, or do you want to pay an attorney?
I have a question about, can you hear me?
Yeah,
there we go, Matt. Okay, so I have a question about lowering commission. So just wondering, since being new to the industry would that be a reason to offer a client that we would lower by a certain amount our commission?
When will a client ask you to lower your commission?
When they're not confident in your abilities and you are not confident in your own.
When you're not showing your value. When you show your value and you know that there's 183 things that we do to get your house on the market, does that provide value?
Yeah, definitely.
Do they know you do 183 things?
No.
To get their house on the market?
No.
Take that as your value proposition.
Okay, great.
Believe in yourself. And that's understanding the process. That's understanding the back end of the process. The faster you can get familiar with that, the faster your listings will take off.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering if some people suggest that might be a marketing tactic.
When listings are scarce, there are people that do reduce their price, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at the market.
Right.
It keeps going up in value, right?
Yes.
The commissions haven't changed, but yet your price, you keep getting a pay raise. So is it beneficial to negotiate, a 2%, a 3%, depending on what they want or what they don't want? You get to decide the value. I have a full service where I will clear out the house, get the staging set up. I will probably, I have a staging company that I work with. But so far during COVID and what COVID's brought, nobody's staged.
Yeah, yeah.
Vacant houses sold for more money than staged homes. And you actually got more activity when it was vacant because of the COVID concerns.
Right.
Right. So understand the market and the time and the market of time. Speaking of COVID, that's a bad joke. It's just the blood pressure medicine. It gives me a tickle. So anyway, what I would tell you is this. When you know your value, they will never ask you to reduce your commission. And when they ask me about lowering my commission, I ask them, why do you ask? Most of the time, they don't even know why they're asking. Just a friend told them to ask.
Okay.
But I go with the value proposition. And that value proposition is, look, this is your number one investment.
Right.
I go with that. This is your security blanket. This is your equity. This is your start to wealth.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. And I don't take that lightly. And I don't think you should either. Okay. When you know there's 3 points to the negotiations, you want somebody who's going to come in and reduce their commission and not fight for themselves? Because let me tell you, it changes your mindset.
Right. Yeah.
It absolutely 100% changes your mindset and how you will work for them and how you will perform.
Mm-hmm.
You will not do everything that you need to do. You may take shortcuts. Don't let it affect your mindset.
Yeah. So you said you'll clear out their entire house. So like you move everything to a storage unit?
Or dump, or I have a company that comes in and has a garage sale or type of thing. And that's just over time building relationships.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does that help? Anybody else? Has everybody learned a lot? I know there's a lot to this, and I wish I could cover it all in a 3-hour class. You just can't. Once I walk, so if I get to the end of my presentation, it's exactly this, is once I get done walking, I come back and say, you've got a great house. love what you've done. You've updated the furnace, you've updated the water heater. There's nothing wrong with it. Or if it's an older water heater, if it's an older furnace, those are things that I point out. Those are the pillars that affect the value. You know, I was noticing your roof earlier as I was walking up. I noticed it's got some moss up there. Do we have any money that maybe we can work with to improve the condition of your home so we can get top dollar?
I like the way you put that. Do we have any money to work with?
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Yeah.
Right. We want to put your house in the best condition. I had a listing presentation last 2 weeks ago, and they're hot to trot. They want to get on the market, but through our listing presentation, she said, "Well, I want to list it at 300." And I said that I need everything cleared out of here. I need all of this stuff, and it was full. I need the backyard cleaned. I need the gazebo taken down. I need all of this. They've gotten it taken down in 2 weeks. Right? So now it's imperative that if she wants 300, then we have to give them a list of things to do to hit that price. And if they hit that price, then you know your value, you know your proposition, right? They're aiming for that price. So then you have them sign the listing contract. You get to 300, put their house on the market, and you've sold, you know, and you've got a listing. What's their motivation? Is price their motivation? When you get calls from out of state and somebody calls you, and I dealt with this morning, and they said, "Hey, I know you're a realtor. I don't know you're not in our area, but our house isn't selling. We've been on the market since June." I said, "Tell me what you started at." Well, we started at 830. We're down to 785. I said, "You're still chasing the market. How many showings have you had?" 4. Boom. You want to find a price where people are going to perceive a good deal. How did you feel about your 830 price? Well, we knew it was high, but we wanted to stretch the market. By listing high, you're not going to get the highest price. You're trying to work with 3% of people, not the 97%. I know which number is bigger, 97% or 3%. Which one increases your answer of having multiple offers? You will put more eyes on it. That's when you're going to get, that's the biggest thing on your listing presentation, is to take the seller, which, let me pose a question. What is every seller eventually?
Buyer.
So let's put them in the mind of a buyer, show them what he can see, what they can see, and then run with it. We just sold a house this weekend. It was on the market 3 times in the last 2 years with different agents. We sold it in 3 days at over list price. List price determines the activity. The activity will determine the sale price. The only time I'm going to tell you what your house will sell for is if I'm walking in with an offer. That is the only time. Other than that, we're going to put it on the market, interpret the market, and get you the highest price the market will bear in the quickest amount of time. Okay. So we're at the tiny room table. We come back after walking through, right? We come back to the table. Great. Where do you want to move? How soon do you want to move there? Barton? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, sir.
Where do you want
to? I was a little distracted. What was your question?
Where do you want to move to?
This is a hypothetical question or
hypothetical?
Hypothetical. I want to move to the South Hills of Eugene.
Okay. What's your time frame? When do you want to get there?
Ideally within, I guess, since it's July right now and I'm renting a place, I'd want to move. I guess my general feeling, even though this is a COVID year, it's a little hard to tell. I would want to move sometime within the next month, or at least try and do a deal and sometime in the next month or month and a half. Because my general feeling is the market might, the houses on the market might slow down a little bit in the fall time.
Okay.
You know, once kids are going back to school and that sort of thing. So I guess my thing is more of trying to find the best chance of finding a good house on the market.
Okay. Are you familiar with what your neighbors' homes have sold for in the neighborhood?
In the neighborhood that I'm looking for?
No, that you're selling. Appointment.
That would be selling? No, I'm not.
Okay. Is there a price that you won't go below?
I would say I wouldn't want to go below 420 maybe.
Okay. And where do you get that number? Is that just what you need on the other side to buy?
Well, I know the neighbor's house sold for 420 about a year ago. I mean, sold about 400 about a year ago, and I'm thinking maybe it's just kind of a guess, but I'm just saying maybe 20,000 more than over the last year.
Okay. When you bought this house, what is it that got you to buy this house?
It had been newly updated. We kind of like the updating. Not we're okay with the neighborhood. Not so crazy about the neighborhood. We have some bad neighbors, unfortunately. But otherwise, you know, it's we like the house, but we just kind of wanted to upgrade.
Okay, and so do you have a timeline when you want to get to the South Hills of Eugene?
Not a solid timeline. It really has to do with finding the house we want to get.
Okay.
But like I said, we'd like, our general feeling is we'd like to try and get a transaction going in the next couple of months, just because we think we'll have more to choose from.
Well, if you're comfortable with me at the end of this at the end of our conversation today, would you list with me?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You said you weren't willing to go before 420. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever Googled your address?
I have, yeah.
Okay. What do you know about your house?
As far as what it shows in Google, you mean, or?
Yeah. Just as far as what you can see.
Oh, okay. So if somebody else, you're asking, like if somebody else Googled the house, what would they know?
If you've ever Googled your house, and I'll even do this in my listing presentation. Have you ever Googled your address? And if they say no.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So let's Google it right now so we know exactly what buyers are seeing right now.
Okay. You want me to actually do that?
Sure. The heck. Let's run through it. Right.
Okay.
This is what we do in scripts too, by the way.
Okay. So put in the address, shows the address, obviously. Zillow is the first thing that pops up here. And then
Zillow, Realtor, and Redfin.com. So pull up your Zillow. Let's check your Zillow. What's the Zillow on your house?
Okay.
The Zestimate. Sorry, what's the Zestimate on your house?
All right. It's being a little slow pulling up. Zestimate actually says, wait a minute, disappeared there. Zestimate says 427.9. So
427.9. Okay.
Yeah.
427.9. Now, if you would pull up Realtor.com.
Okay. Yeah, go back.
Everybody see where I'm going with this?
Computer's running a little slow.
That's fine. Right?
Trulia, Redfin, Realtor.com. Okay.
Yeah. So you have all of those websites.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what does Redfin tell you it's worth?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on Realtor.com, but Realtor.com. Oh, their estimate. It's not responding well.
It's on the.
It says 407,300.
Okay. And Redfin.
And Redfin.
So this is buyers. This is what we're going to talk about. This is buyer's perception. This is what every buyer that comes to your home can see.
Okay, so this says 409,403. The Redfin. How they come up with the extra 3, I couldn't say.
So I don't put as much emphasis on Realtor and Redfin because they'll change almost immediately when you hit the RMLS.
Okay.
Okay. I put more of an emphasis on Zillow because I know 3 times as many people put on Zillow or use Zillow as anything else.
Okay.
Average buyers use Zillow so they don't have to talk to realtors.
Oh, actually, their estimate price is a range on Redfin. If you want to know, it says 402,000 to 443,000 on the range.
443. Okay.
Yeah, no, the hard estimate they gave was more the 409, 4,000.
So it takes the middle and says this is where it's at. Okay. Great. I'm glad we did that. So based on that information, does that change your mind about the price and what you'd sell it for?
Well, I don't know. We've been living here for a year and we like the house. So kind of got attached to it. I mean, it seems like it'd be worth 420,000 to me.
Okay. I would tell you this, here's the reality of the situation. This is what people can see. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we want people to perceive a good deal because that's what's going to bring people into the seats.
Okay.
Okay. I am totally okay with listing at $420,000.
Okay.
Why would I be okay at listing at $420,000?
You think it would sell for 420?
Well, your estimate's over 420,000.
Yeah.
So if your estimate's at 427.9 and you list at 420, how many people are going to perceive a good deal?
Probably everybody that goes to Zillow.
Exactly. Fundamentals, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem you have right now with Zillow is they're buying houses and their Zestimate, they're buying them for their Zestimates. And so they're inflated. But what they do is they come in, they offer top price, then they have contractors come in and give you repair bids and they drop the price upwards of $30,000 to $40,000.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to understand how Zillow works too. Okay.
Okay.
But 420 is under 427.9.
Right.
Okay. So in this situation, I would then take my comps, my CMAs, and all of that and move forward and say, okay, if I can pull 425, am I going to look like a rock star to you?
Yeah, I would think so. It's above.
What if we
I mean, the 420 is kind of the bottom of what I wanted. But
right.
Yeah.
What if I listed at 425 and we expose you to everybody that's looking between 400 and 425 and 425 to 450?
Okay.
So we're going to double the eyes on it.
Okay.
Maximize the exposure on the first weekend. So we know with technology, there's 97% of people have a cell phone, and we want to appeal to those people.
Okay.
To get them off their couch into your listing and to your home. Your home shows lovely. Okay. It's great. It's beautiful. There's a couple questions that I'll ask you about, but I think we can go at 425. How soon do you want to go on the market?
I guess pretty much right away, because we'd like to, like I said, we'd like to be able to shop for a house. So
okay. So what we can do at that point is we can put seller to find suitable housing. Okay. And that's going to make sure you're protected through the entire process. And what that means is that lets every buyer know that we're looking for a home, but we're not going to sell until we find one.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think we can find one in 4 months?
Oh, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. So once we get our financing in place and you get approved through a lender with the sale of your home at 425 or at this number, will you be able to get your approval?
Yeah, we'll be able to get approved. Yeah.
Okay. So let's work on getting your approval first.
Okay.
I will call and arrange for a photographer. I would like to have my landscaper come out and trim some bushes, 12 inches away from the house. That can be part of a loan qualifying thing, but we want to really get like some presentation, right?
Okay.
To your house, so it will show better. A couple things that I would also bring up: you're missing a couple knobs on the kitchen cabinets. Do you think we can get those replaced?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Okay. There's not many things that need to be done, but in order to get the 425, I think if we just sharpen up and add some color to the flower beds out front.
Okay. Now our baseboards are kind of old. They've been kind of kicked around a lot and from mopping and that sort of thing. Do you know somebody that could paint those for us? Or?
I do. I have connections for that.
Is that a good idea? You think we can get our money? Is that a good investment for trying to sell?
Anytime you can show better, it will increase the offer. See, there's 3 points to the negotiations. It's not just about the list price, but it's getting people here.
Okay.
People to your home, and then once they see it, they may see that if there's nicks and dings and whatnot, then the overall perception is going to be that it's not very well cared for. So
okay.
If we take care of those, then we can do that. My photographer has an appointment open on Wednesday. How long would it take you to do these couple things?
It might take I think probably a week to get somebody out to paint and do that. But I don't know anybody. Do you have a connection for that?
I do. And I will send you his name. I have a couple of them and they all work really well and they know the time is of the essence.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, that's what I can go get the knobs replaced, but as far as the baseboard goes, it hurts my back to bend down and paint all that baseboard stuff. So.
Total sense. Let me call them real quick. And yes, I would call them to find out if they have any openings.
Okay.
Right. And see what they can do.
Well, right? So, I mean, if that can happen, and then yeah, we'd be open to put it not on the market.
So understandably, all we're doing is fact finding. And he went from a couple months to, hey, we can get it on Thursday.
Okay.
Type of thing. The more they're confident in what we can do, the more they're going to move their motivation to match yours.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We actually kind of went through this a couple of years ago with a realtor we had in Chicago. And so this all sounds very familiar, actually.
Right. And it's all about the questions.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody I want to open up to the forum, right? So we've been technical. I've added some things. I haven't just said, what do you think your house is worth? Let's list at it, right? We showed them all, everything that's available. And then we pull our CMAs and our TMOs to see what the neighborhood's doing.
Okay.
Very important also, when you're pulling your CMAs, show them 2 different strategies, 3 different strategies. Show them list price. Show them what a high, a low, and a fair market value does. How much does the price fluctuate? Listing at the high level can cost you $20,000. Once you show it to them and you understand that there's always a secondary market, then it becomes easy because you're showing them what you look for every buyer. Does that make sense?
What was the secondary market again? I'm sorry. I know I missed a little bit of that.
Right now, the secondary market is if there's anything available on Wednesday, it's an opportunity to get it at a cheaper price.
Okay.
Or less competition.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Usually that market's 14 to 15 days. But with the hot market that we've got right now, it's 6 days. So if somebody doesn't want to compete, I'm doing a search and I'm pulling DOM in the RMLS. Days on market, 6 days. Right? Or if I want a little better negotiating power, then I'm hitting 10 days. Or I'm hitting 14 days. There's more negotiating the longer it sits on the market. Okay.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions? Let's do a free forum.
I have one question just to confirm on the CMA. So you actually bring something in print. Here's something that was high. Here's something that's low. Here's something that's fair market. So you're actually.
I want people to understand that no matter how hot the market is, no matter what they're hearing, they're always going to be 2 to 3 different markets.
Okay. And then would you do something on their home before you meet with them, or this is after you meet? Like,
there's times I walk into a home, I've got a CMA prepped and the house is in no condition of what I thought it looked like. And right. So that CMA goes out the window. So then so instead of sitting there going, well, my CMA doesn't count, I'm going to go back and do it again. No, I use what's available at every buyer's fingertips.
Right.
They're stuck without saying something about what the market is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen what every buyer can see.
Right.
So Matt, is it actually then a bad idea if you've done this CMA and you can see that they're, compared to the other homes that looked on paper like they were comparable to their home by number of bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that, but then you see the condition of their home is much worse than the other homes that sold? Do you have that kind of tough conversation with them at that initial meeting, or you just really just chuck it to the side and
if it's
keep it in your mind, but not talk to them about it?
It's in worse shape, right?
Yeah.
So if it's in worse shape than anything that's hit the market and they want a certain price for it, then it's what can we change? We can always change the condition and the price.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're going to have to do more things to get it market ready. They're going to have to empty it out. They may have to have a cleaner come in. They may have to pull up the carpet. There are things they may have to do. And if they can't do anything, then they're going to be stuck with a lower list price. But what's their goal? What's their motivation?
Yeah.
See, when we realize this has nothing to do with me, I'm going to give them the strategies. That strategies, look, if we don't bring up the condition, we'll never get that price.
You know what, circling back to what you were saying earlier about what we have to offer that they can't get off an app somewhere.
Yeah.
That's actually it right there. We have the strategies and they don't.
That's exactly right.
Because they can't look at it with an objective eye. They have too much emotion involved.
That's exactly right. We're going to give them the strategies to get them to where they want to go. If they want to put forth the effort, if they want to list it tomorrow and put it on the market, then we're going to have to adjust the price.
Yeah.
But it's whatever they want to do and the best way to get there.
This is kind of a semantics question, Matt, but when you're talking, okay, so your client, the house is nowhere near what you were expecting. And would you say we, meaning we as a team, or would you say you could do this, you could do that? Because I'm thinking it sounds better to say we, because that's implying you're a team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the other part. I will tell you this, Craig Rigger gave me this advice in that lengthy failure conversation. One of the other questions that came up in that conversation in my listing was, how many members are on your team? So that let me know she'd already ran with the team lead, right? Mm-hmm. How do you combat when you're going up against a team? Great, you met the team lead. It's got all the time, whatever he tells you, whatever he tells you is going to sound great because he's been through it 1,000 times. But no, the last time you're going to see him is once you sign these papers. After that, you're going to be sent off to his buyer's agent, his selling agent, his admin. You'll never see him again. He's moved on to the next one. Okay? Who's your team? When you say we, who's on your team? Are you in the productivity program?
Mhm.
That's a team. You have resources. Your lender partners are your team. Your escrow officers are your team. All of these people are part of your team, and we will match whatever your motivation is. We will get you on the market in the time frame.
Question.
Yeah.
Getting back to your script, talking about getting the house on the market the next day, and then wanting to have a house to move into the West Hills of Eugene.
Yep.
Okay, pre-approval. How do you get the house on the market the next day, yet you had these plans to get, the trimming done and all of that? Do you still go ahead and list the house the next day, or what
all of that has to come together. It's going to be you've got to be flexible, right? Okay. And it's going to depend on their front time frame. I know I've got time, but his motivation is yeah, I'll list with you. Great. At that point, I wouldn't say next day. I would say, hey, let me check with my photographer. Let me check with my landscaper, see if we can't touch this up to get to the 425 price point, and then go live, say, the following week.
Okay.
So then we go live on Thursday the following week. We'll walk the open house. We'll walk the neighborhood, invite your neighbors to come to your open house. And then we'll have the open house Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully we're reviewing offers on Monday. What do you think? How does that sound?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. The questions that I ask are the questions that we ask are, let's see. Do you have a place to go that first weekend? Do you want a hotel room for that weekend? Sometimes I will put that in my marketing budget. You see, the more restrictions you put on showings, the less activity we're going to have. Okay. That's the big point. We want to make it as easy as possible and to get as much access as we possibly can. Sometimes it's not possible and we have to work with their schedule. But we want to set that expectation in our listing appointment. Since you're not going to be here when the showings happen. How awkward is it when you bring a buyer to a house and the seller is still there? Linda, I'm sure you can answer it.
Yes, I can. It's super awkward. No one wants to live through it, trust me.
It's horrible.
It is, it's horrible.
So other than that, all we have is all these questions, and we're just building the questions, right? All of these questions, and we're just finding a plan for we just want to put in place a plan and a strategy to help them get to where they want to go to get the highest price the market will bear in the quickest amount of time. It's not my job to understand, to tell you what you're going to get. I'm not going to make you promises, but what I will do is I will find a strategy that best works for you.
Can I ask a question about those strategies? Sorry.
What's that?
Or I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead. What do you got?
Sure. I just don't quite understand. I haven't been in the RMLS for very long, and I have been going on there every day to try to look at listings, but I'm still not clear on all the information that's available in there. So when you're looking for CMAs, is that in the RMLS?
Yeah. What you do is you're going to pull when you go to search, you can go to active search, advanced search, and then you're going to put in the criteria. What's the house? What's the house criteria? What area is it in? Is it attached, detached? What does it look like? What city is it in? Narrow it down as much as possible. And then you're going to actively look for not just actives and pendings, actives and bunchables, but you want pendings and solds. There's a calendar next to those that is a calendar days back. You can click 6 months, 9 months. So on pendings, I go back 2 months, 3 months. And then on solds, I go back 9 months. See what's out there. If there's a lot that come up, then I drop it to 6 months. Then I don't meet as comparable. Is it one level? Is it two level? What style is it? Is it Cape Cod, right?
So then the final price is on there, or what it was listed for, or you see both?
At the bottom, once it's sold, you won't see pendings, but you'll see actives. You'll see why are actives important? That's your competition. So what is it active? Why is it active? How long has it been on the market? This is your competition. So fundamentally, you know, if somebody wants 435 and there's another one on the market almost identical that's at 425, which one? Now, realistically, they're probably going to hit both, but which one are they going to hit first?
The cheaper one.
Well, honestly, the one that looks nicer in the pictures. Okay. Who else had another question?
I didn't have a question, but I wasn't sure from, who was that was just asking that?
Aisha.
Aisha. There isn't like though a button in our MLS where it does the CMAs for you. You still have to create the CMA.
You have to pull the comps. Yeah.
So if that's what you were looking for.
I guess I was asking, is it like, are you trying to pull other agents' CMAs? Because you said you want to show them like what would happen if we priced high, what would happen if we priced low. So I was like, how do you pull up those CMAs?
That's going to be looking for actives, pendings, and solds on the RMLS.
Okay. So it's just the RMLS listing thing you're talking about.
Yeah. Keep coming to Ignite. There's a class on the RMLS.
I was going to say, you guys haven't done that yet, I bet.
It is amazing what you can do with the RMLS.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really need to learn that. I took the orientation, but I didn't really learn as much as I was hoping.
Right. And they have video classes on RMLS also. Okay. So that's important too, is look for their training schedule. Okay.
They will tell you when you go to their training on CMAs though, they say it over and over and over again. Make sure you're doing this the way your principal broker wants you to do it. So it's better to take our training.
No responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's better to take our training.
Let's go with, anybody have any other questions? I know it's a lot of information. It's kind of scatterbrained, but it is, I like to go off cuff because to me, the Ignite listing presentation is dated and we need to adjust with technology.
Yeah, I got a quick question. Let me just double check. You said 9 months on solds, but if there's a lot too many for the comps, just go back 6 months.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha, I think it depends. I think it depends on the area too, because like I know, well, I'll just take Bethany for right now because I live in a certain part of Bethany, and we're actually probably going to be selling our home in the next I don't know, before the end of the year. And when I did that, I started, pulling together a CMA for us to use. Gosh, the pricing was so, like the sold price was so different at the end of 2020 than it is, so much lower than it is now, that I didn't even feel like that was a very good measuring stick. I mean, it's great to pull it and see what it says. It gives you knowledge, but I think you have to then use that knowledge wisely. Would you say you agree, Matt?
I would absolutely agree. And here's the tough part and what you will find. I've got houses that come up because I do well with my listing presentations and getting it sold in 5 days or less and all of that. I just had one sell in Southeast Portland. The neighbor called me. She wants to sell in Southeast Portland. She's best friends with those neighbors. She knows exactly what their house sold for. So now what do you think her question is, well, then I should be able to put my house on the market at what they sold for. That's not always the case.
Especially not in Southeast where they're not cookie cutter homes.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, they have the same exact layout. It's just she has air conditioning and a bigger primary bathroom.
Right. Always adapt to the situation.
Always adapt and say, hey, look, I know you want 450 and we listed their house at 400, got 450. And I know you want 450, but we're not going to get it by listing at 450. We want to get people in for the activity to drive the price up. And that strengthens your offer all the way through. If we have a backup position, it strengthens your offer through the negotiations. Because one, the buyers in first position are going to know that you have a backup offer, and it's going to reduce what they're going to ask for. Right? If you're the only one at the table, you got carte blanche. You can ask for everything. It's great when you can go up to somebody and say, I have $30,000 worth of repairs. What are you going to do? The seller gets to decide, but I'm going to ask for everything. And I understand that the seller gets to decide what they're going to do. And I also know that if somebody reduces their commission, it's another huge opportunity. And say that buyer's agent commission is less than 2.5. I know they've negotiated their commissions. And then I'm like a piranha because I'm going to get you at the negotiations. I'm going to get you at the disclosures. I'm going to get you at the inspections, and I'm going to get you at the appraisal. Don't devalue yourself. Just because somebody else does it doesn't mean you have to do it. Know your value. You know your value when you have the strategies.
Matt, what's a good strategy for, say you've got a buyer that doesn't want to do a buyer's agreement, sorry. Okay. And they just want you to basically kind of fish them some properties and send them to them?
Honestly, at that point, my question to them is, look, I know you want to see houses and whatnot, but in my profession, in my job, what's the reason they won't sign it? Let's start there. What's the reason? Let's fact find. Why won't they sign it? Do you know why they won't sign it?
Yeah, because they're not sure they want to buy, really. They're still figuring out if they really want to buy or not.
Great. And in order for me to put my time and effort behind it, I need the security that you're going to be working with me through the process. There's no obligation to buy, right? I'm just going to show you the market so you can make the best decision for you and your family. And if you decide not to buy now, then great. But I need to know that I'm not going to send you something and you're going to go to somebody else and say, will you give me a cutback on commissions, right? Whatever the reason is. But I need the security to know that we're going to be working together and you're going to have faith in me to show you what you need to know. It's never any guarantees about finding them a house. It's more about, it's the respect that I deserve. And it's the respect we all deserve. If we're going to put the time and effort, if I'm going to take time and effort away from my family, I want to know that you're going to work with me if I find you a house that you like.
I feel like the other thing too in the market today, there are so many buyers that I don't know. I've had a few people say that to me recently too, and I've just said, you know, I can appreciate that maybe you're not wanting to sign on a dotted line today. Mm-hmm. I'd like to have a conversation about why that is. But I also want to be upfront with you to let you know that I'm not taking on anybody right now who isn't, you know, ready to make a 100% commitment to me as an agent working on their behalf. Because the market is so flooded with buyers right now, I need to know that the people I'm spending time on actually really want to go through with this process at this point. Because otherwise, I mean,
87% of people, once they get in front of you for a buyer's presentation and sign on the dotted line, and will use you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you do it. You're the professional in your business. You teach people how to treat you. If they don't want to sign, you haven't lost a customer.
Nope. You never had that customer.
You never
honestly.
had that customer.
Yep.
They're not willing to go through the approval process. They're not a customer.
Yep.
Looky-loos will drain you faster than a vampire.
You lose a lot of, you're losing income every time you work with one of them.
Yep.
Because you're losing your time, your energy, everything. That's one area I know more. I don't know as much about listings, but I know a lot about buyers.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And once you transfer buyers to sellers, then, and you take what you learn in the buying side of things and know that there's 3 different markets. How many people picked up something today, not just on listings, but on buying side of things as well?
So
if you are in an open house and somebody's working with another agent and you say, what are you noticing in the market? Right? And they say, oh, everything's going for 75 to 150 over. I feel like I can't win. Well, has your agent told you about the secondary market? Does it open their eyes? Nolan?
Definitely. There's a ton of knowledge that not every realtor knows about and hasn't even told their clients about. Seen it firsthand myself. When they learn about the secondary market, it's like Aladdin, a whole new world starts playing through the back of their mind.
They're like, wait a minute. I'm looking at all these houses that first come on the market, when in reality, there's a whole nother market that my agent didn't tell me about because they don't know.
How did they forget to mention? Oh, did they not know about it? Oh, well.
Right? By the way, Nolan, you were there. Just got the second one that I told you on Saturday would call.
No way. Awesome, man.
It's mastery. And when you master your craft, where does mastery start?
Practice. Script practice.
100% scripts practice.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Get up, set it in your clock, 8:20 in the morning. Join us on Zoom. It's not as bad as it seems. It's actually it's where you're going to learn the most and to overcome objections. We don't just follow the script. We role play. We run through it. We understand why, when, and how you would use the script and what the purpose is. We're here to educate you so you can educate your clients. And that Zoom link is 826-049-8196. 826-049-8196. Nolan, can you type it in the chat?
Yeah.
Join that room number at 8:20 in the morning and your life will be forever changed. You guys want to know something else?
The same one that's on at 4 o'clock in the afternoons?
It doesn't happen at 4. We didn't get enough participation. I think Gene still advertises it at 4, but nobody, by 4 o'clock, everybody's doing their own thing and they never showed up.
Unfortunately, you have to say that one more time because I actually joined with a different link.
You joined the one with
526-049-8196.
Sorry, that one.
Okay, I'll type that one.
Type that one.
What is this? Is this to Zoom or what is this? I'm confused.
Yep.
Zoom. Okay.
Yes, it's the Zoom link. Just like this, we start out every morning, 8:20 in the morning, scripts practice. You get an email Tuesday through Friday from your ASD. That gives you the link to join right there. Okay, so look for that every day at 8:20, but that starts you off. And even if you don't do your lead generation, it helps you get in these situations. And the best thing you can do is to be prepared.
Yeah, for me, scripts practice is very tangible. It's something you can actually like really grasp onto.
Yep, because it's real life situations. It's every objection we've ever heard. It's what do you do in listing presentations? Are you asking the right questions? How do you ask open-ended questions? I had a lot of fun teaching somebody this weekend about it. And I would tell you that is it, right? I'd like to list this house, I really would, but I have way too much work to do before I get my home fixed up before I sell it. Is that an objection? Totally.
It is, but it doesn't, you can overcome it pretty easily.
I hear this a lot from our clients. That's why we're sitting here today. We have all of the services to help you. We have all of the connections. We have contractors. We have these people. They do get paid at a closing, and it doesn't cost you a dime other than your equity once you sell the house. Different ways, right? Okay. Yes, and that is the right one. Sorry, I had a brain cramp.
I was just double checking. I was like, is there another one I'm missing? No.
No, that's it. 526-049-8196. Engage, learn, and your career will take off much faster than you ever thought humanly possible. When you want to hit snooze over and over again, just remember what you learned today, because it happens on a daily basis on scripts. And I've actually been doing scripts every day since I got to Keller Williams. How many people want to go against me in a listing competition? I want somebody to raise their hand.
No way.
Not yet. Not yet.
I aspire to be you.
I
want to go against you eventually. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody should have attained to that. 100%. That was my biggest fail forward. When I got done with that meeting, words that Craig said as I was getting done, he goes, "This is brilliant, and you're going to teach this class." And I said, "No, I'm not. I can't stand in front of people. I can't talk to people. My biggest fear in life was talking in front of a crowd."
So then the pandemic happened and you could just do it on a screen.
I was actually teaching it. No, I actually walked into the office and somebody had gotten sick or had a sick kid and canceled. And I got ambushed by three of our front, in the front room. And they said, "Hey, Matt, you can teach." And I'm like, "I just got out of Ignite from learning it. How am I going to teach it?" And then I said, "What's the class?" And they said, "Win the sellers." And I said, "Huh, I'll go give it my best." Haven't looked it back. Got in front of that class, started talking and told them my technology, everything I went through with Craig Rieger that day. And I haven't looked back.
He's the best and I miss him.
Oh, he's unreal.
I know.
As far as if you get that opportunity. But if that guy looks at you after a meeting and says it's brilliant and you need to teach this, okay. A year later, I'm productivity coach, helping people achieve their dreams. And I'm here to help all of you guys achieve yours. You guys have a great coach in Mara. Use your resources. Get to the office.
All right.
Get to the office, talk to people, engage, and you will learn. Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've been looking at the RMLS while you've been talking, trying to look at those sold houses or whatever. And so I found it at the bottom. It's like you can see the list price and the sold price.
Yep.
What is the original price?
That's where it starts listing. But if it's been on the market for more than 21 days, there's most likely a price drop. So if you go to the agent full on the RMLS, there's a little button on the right where it's like a little purple button that says H.
Where is it? Oh, I see that. Yep.
You see the little
Click
M?
on that.
So hit on the H.
Okay.
Your world will change forever. You should be looking at this for every buyer.
Okay.
It says when it goes listing. It says when it goes live. It says when it goes pending. It says when it has a data change. It says.
Oh, this is all the same house?
Yep. It will tell you if somebody pulls the house off the market, cancels the listing, and then puts it back on the market, and it shows up as day one. When in reality, it's not day one. It's just it didn't sell before, so they had to liven it up.
Okay.
History.
So what's the original price again?
Whatever they started listing at, where it says active. Right?
Well, because they have the original price, then they have the list price and a sold price.
So the original price is what it started at. The list price is what they got the offer at.
Oh, okay.
And
I thought the list price was what they listed the home for before they got their offer.
Well, it depends, because if it sits on the market and hits the secondary market, then they've got to reduce their price to bring activity back.
Okay.
So when you look at the history page,
right,
see where it says actives pending, or where it says active. So pick up the one, the listing you're looking at right now.
Yeah, I clicked on the H.
Okay. So it's active is, what did it start with? If you read across the line, it says what's the price, who the agent is, and what day it went on the market.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody click on an agent full and click the history page. And that should be taken with you at every buyer's appointment so you can tell the story.
Okay.
Okay. I once again have gone over my time. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Always, Yvonne, great to tell you. By the way, I threw your name out there again on Facebook. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. You can kill me later. It was nice to meet your husband, by the way.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, go have a great day. Let's have a fabulous week. Let's have a fantastic week. Let's get in front of our sphere. Don't let people get stuck with a bad realtor.
Thanks, Matt. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See everybody tomorrow morning at 8:20. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.